given an equation A equals P times quantity 1 plus R everything squared. What are we asked to do? What is the question here?
Find the rate. It was to find the rate.
So we're asked to find this.
Yes.
Perfect question. Excellent to start with. Awesome. Perfect. So are we given any numbers or just an equation with 1, 2, 3 letters, and we're asked, okay, here's the equation, solve for R.
Yes, it was given numbers, but I just wrote this down. I remember this. I don't remember all the numbers.
Okay, because there are two options. One option is just solve for a letter, solve for the letter R. And the second one is plug in this, and solve for R. So that's the first.
It was plug in both of those.
So plug in A and P.
Yes.
Okay. So I can come up with some numbers.
That's fine.
And I can also solve for the letter. So you want to solve it with numbers, or you want to solve it with 3 letters?
Solve with the numbers, please.
Okay. So let's say perfect. So let's say that the accumulated value is 100,000.
Yeah.
That's the A. And let's say that P is 4,000. Doesn't matter. And we're asked to find R. Now, if you have the numbers, we can work on the problem that you had. If not, we can work on what I just came up with.
We'll work on this because it was in the practice.
That's fine.
I wrote down the form.
Okay. Are the numbers okay? You want to come up? Okay. Perfect. Okay. So we have 100,000 equals 4,000 parentheses 1 plus R to the second power. The first thing we have to do is simplify. Sometimes I say simplify, or sometimes I say clean it up. Whatever you want to remember, it doesn't matter. You have to clean it up. What do I mean by clean it up? I will divide both sides by 4,000. Divide this by 4,000. So I normally like to write it once. Divide both sides by 4,000. So when I divide by 4,000, first of all, I divide by 1,000. So I simplified. And now I have to divide 100 by 4, which I know is 25. So once the equation is cleaned up, then I realize what type of equation is it. Because if I don't know what it is, then chances are that I don't know how to solve it. What type of equation is this? And we should learn the terminology. It's very important. What type of equation is it?
Square root.
So you're talking about quadratic.
Quadratic.
So when we say what type of equation, so far we only learned or looked at linear and quadratic. We don't know anything else at this point. So because it has a power on the variable, like the power that is exactly 2, not any power, then we know that we have to, as you said, because it's set up like that, I have to take the square root from both sides. So when I take the square root from the right-hand side, I have 1 plus R. But we just reviewed this a few minutes ago. What do I have to write on the other side? Mandatory, always and forever. What?
0.
Okay, let's go back. It's okay. If I can find my notes, here it is. What did we say we have to write on the other side?
Plus or minus.
Yes. So every time we take the square roots, we must write where the number is plus or minus. And I took the square root of 25 and I got 5. The next step is I have to move 1. Of course, I change its sign. So I have R equals negative 1 plus or minus 5. At this point, I have to separate and I get 2 different solutions. Can anyone give us these 2 solutions?
4 and negative 6.
Yes, because negative 1 plus 5 is 4, and right. The rate cannot be negative. So in this case, I'll say it's good, algebraically it's correct, but it doesn't have any meaning in our problem. So then the rate must be 4. It was a very good problem. It was pertaining to what we're doing right now. Even if it weren't, I would have had to answer it anyway, but it's perfect for what we're doing right now. Thank you, Brent. Other questions? Anyone? By the way, do you have other questions here? Is this okay? Are the steps clear? Anyone? Any questions? Okay, we're ready for the next question. Anything you have? Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Did we find the fractions or anything else you had? No? Okay. I'd like us to continue and finish up what we started with 1.5 and the square root property and completing the square. So first we're going to talk about completing the square and then get ready for some work that we need to do together. Okay. So remember, going back to the notes from last time for just one more time, factoring was done. The square root method was done. We also reviewed it a minute ago. The quadratic formula, I hope it's done. Now this is the last one that we have to work on. And again, if you remember, I said last time, why do I need 4 methods? Well, we don't. We don't need 4 methods to solve quadratic equations. You can always use the quadratic formula. Factoring is easy. Why would I use the quadratic formula if the factoring is there and it's very easy to apply? If it is. If it isn't, I'll use the quadratic formula. When will I use the square root? When it's conveniently set up for the square root. When will I use this? Never. But it's a very important method for something else. So that's why we have to study it. Good. I think I can recycle that. So let's talk about the completing the square method. Completing the square. It will look like gibberish at first, but it is not a difficult method if you're following my lead. So please remind me, x plus 4 everything squared. We've reviewed factoring, so we know how to write this quickly. Hunter, will you help us here with x plus 4 to the second power?
Yes.
Ready. I'm ready.
So you got x2.
You mean x squared? Good.
Yes, right. X squared plus.
We learned the terminology here as well. Yes.
Plus 16.
2.
16x.
2 times the first times the second. 2. Multiply these 2 and multiply by 2.
Oh, I'm sorry. So 4x plus 4x.
Multiplied by 2. We are not foiling.
Oh, okay.
We're not going backwards in time. We're moving forward.
I got you.
Multiply these 2 and then multiply by 2, please.
So 8x.
Excellent. Plus?
And then plus 8. Or 4.
The first term squared plus 2 times the first times the second plus the second term squared.
Oh, 16.
Excellent. Perfect. So why is this important? What am I talking about here? You just said, well, we are solving equations by completing the square. What are you doing? What's the connection between completing the square to solve an equation? Thank you. It was very good. So complete the square, solving an equation using complete the square, and here's what you're doing. Well, this is the idea. Okay? We understand that x plus 4 squared is a trinomial. So this is a binomial squared. A binomial squared is a trinomial. Okay. So if I'm asked, so I'm just going to open an assignment and pick a problem. You can pick a problem from your own assignment. Okay, so I'm looking at 1.5 part 1. So I just want to select a problem that is asking us to. So I see where that question was coming from.
Yes, ma'am.
Brand is always ahead of us. I love it. We just have to be able to keep up with him. Okay, here it is. So I know it's asking us to find the most efficient technique. The most efficient technique is not completing the square for this. It doesn't matter. I just want to explain what we're trying to do. So the equation is x squared plus 8x plus 15 equals 0. Let's suppose, I just picked an equation, it doesn't matter. Let's suppose we are asked, solve this quadratic equation by completing the square. So this is our question at this point. We picked an equation, it's quadratic, yes, it's quadratic. Solve it by completing the square. Okay, and now you're going to see the comparison here and why I came up with that one. Good. First step, I will move 15 to the other side. You can say, what are you doing? You just told us that quadratic equations have to be true. But for completing the square, I only need these two terms. Of course, it depends on this, because if it were 16, but it isn't, I would have not moved it to the other side. But this is not 16. So right now I have x squared plus 8x equals negative 15. That's my first step. I separated the term without x and I put it to the other side. In step number 2, I'm asking myself, what should I add to both sides? And then I'll show you the shortcut. Bear with me, I want to explain the method, and then I will show you the shortcut for the completing the square method. So, the left-hand side is this, the right-hand side is this. I want to add to both sides the same quantity. But which quantity? As long as I add the same number to both sides, I'm fine. I didn't change the equation. But the question is, what do I want to add? I want to add one specific number such that when I rewrite this quantity, I have x plus, of course, 4 squared. Which number do I need? Which number do I need to add to both sides to complete the square with these 3 terms? Anyone? Brittany, what do you think? Imani, what do you think? Bailey, what do you need? What do you think? Anything. Just tell me what you think. I can correct it if I don't even know what you're thinking. Christy, what? Yes?
We should add 16.
Of course. That's the only number. That's the only number I need, because when I expand this, we already knew I get x squared plus 2 times the first times the second plus the second term squared. Exactly. That's exactly, but I have to add to both sides. I cannot just say, oh, I'm going to add to one side, because if I only add to one side, I change the problem. Okay, what is left on the right-hand side then? Exactly. Now, this equation turned into another equation that I know how to handle. So notice, completing the square alone does not solve the equation. This is just an intermediate step to change this into a perfect square. What method do I have to apply in step 3? To both sides so I can solve for x. We applied this method a couple of minutes ago in Brent's question. What do we need to do?
Would it be x plus 4 equals square root of 1?
Remember one thing we can never forget when we take the square root or apply the square root to both sides. There is one thing that if I forget, I do not get the correct answer.
Plus or minus?
Exactly. Exactly. Very important to remember. All I have to do is put 4, so x equals -4 plus or minus 1. And now, can anyone give us, it's okay if you're wrong, so please participate. I don't like calling on anybody. I just would like us to participate so we can move on. So what do you think the answers are?
-3 or 5?
So -3 or -5, indeed. Did I have to do all this for this problem? No. Because it's much easier to factor into x plus 3 and x plus 5. And I get the same answers. But I wanted to illustrate, and I wanted to illustrate based on what we just looked at, why we add 16 to both sides. So allow me now to give you the shortcut. And I'd like to choose another problem, and this is it. That's the method of completing the square. So let's choose another problem, and then I'll give you the shortcut. I will write the steps. Okay, good. So although it says solve it by the method of your choice, I'm going to choose completing the square. So x squared plus 2x equals 10. This is already set up for us. Good. In step 1, identify the middle coefficient. Can anyone here identify for us the middle coefficient? Remember the equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is the leading term. This is the middle coefficient. And this is something called the free. It's free of variables, free term. Can anyone identify in our problem the middle coefficient?
2.
Excellent. That's our first step. In step 2, divide it by 2. It meaning this. So please divide 2 by 2 and tell me what you get for this problem. 1. In step 3, square 1. So this is based on this is based on this. Can anyone square 1 for us?
1.
Exactly. 4. Add 1 to both sides. And complete the square. These are the steps for completing the square. The steps will not solve the equation. After that, you have to apply the square root. So final step, apply square root to both sides. And you can say, but what do I do all this work for? And then it doesn't even solve the equation, and I have to go back to another method. Because this method is used for something else later on. Okay, so we go through the steps now. You said 2, you said 1, you said 1 squared. So I have x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 10 plus 1. Remember, adding 1 to only one side will be a terrible mistake. Adding it to both sides will not change their solutions in any way, shape, or form. Good. Now I need somebody to complete the square of x squared plus 2x plus 1.